Hello?
What's going on? What are you doing here?
I'm saying hi to you.
Oh, okay. I figured this would be the proper time for me to be able to reveal something to you.
Oh, I think you mentioned something about this. That there was like, I'm going to tell you something, but not tell the podcast. I forgot. I'm happy I forgot because it just like sit in my head.
Okay.
So what is it?
Okay, now I don't know if we're talking about the same thing anymore at all. Because
all you said was I'm going to tell you something, but not tell the podcast.
What were we talking about as a whole?
There was no talking about a whole. There was like as an aside kind of thing.
Okay, I have no idea what I was talking about because
You're expecting.
We're not expecting. No, no. Remember, I have snip, snap, snip, 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 snap, snip. So, and it's like close to $30,000 to go to reconnect the lines, so to speak.
So what is the news?
We're moving. We
got the thing.
We don't have a place yet, but we have about 60% of our plans in motion. What we have to lock down are a little bit of the fundamentals, but we found an area that we want to move to. So we've looked at a couple of houses, but we're pretty much set that we want to move to this particular location.
Okay.
Because the houses over there are very affordable compared to how it is over here in Northern California. The neighborhood is really nice. And I actually know some people that live in the area, so it would make it much easier to move to a brand new place with at least some relative, familiarity, if you will.
Heck yeah.
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 I mean, I think you're pretty familiar with it too.
The area?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
I mean, I don't know, you live there.
You want to move to Utah?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? Where? What? Why? What? What about your job?
We've had this plan for about 6 months now. When we were looking at houses here in Northern California, we got approved for a fairly sizable loan. But
which would get you a shack.
Yeah, it would still get us kind of like the bare minimum of what we would be looking for with regards to the size of our family, the things that we would like, the little accoutrements, the little things that we would like in the house. I want my own office in addition to, the bedroom and then of course the living room. But I don't want to have my streaming set up in the living room, right? Like that's kind of, I mean, I know you do because you're in an apartment. It's, it's fine. But
yeah.
In a house, it's kind of tacky. Like you just separate that, if you can. But
I'd say the it's like a scaling thing. Like the bigger the house, the more tacky it is. The smaller the house, the more like doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's like it's all relative. Yeah, but we were looking at that, and then we were just kind of looking at longevity of being in Northern California, and then also looking at mental health. And one of the big things for us was, at least in my point where I am in my life, I am more than content with how things have developed, especially with all the ups and downs that you were very privy to, and some of the people here in the chat here on Twitch are privy to, with my divorce and dealing with that with kids and things of that nature. But one big thing for me is I've always done generally pretty well after big change, and obviously a big change would be moving. And we've considered going to Louisiana. We considered going to Ohio, where my other friend lives in Ohio, because he and I were on Zillow, and for a mere $200,000, I could get basically a mansion in Ohio. I'm like, okay, well, that's not a terrible thing necessarily. I mean, it's a fucking mansion. It would be kind of cool to be able to say that and afford it. But at the same time,
I live in a mansion. Where? Don't worry about it.
Yeah, right. That's the thing. It's like, well, where do you live? Or just, if you look me up on Google Earth, look at my house on Street View, but don't turn around.
Yeah. Just look at the house and then move on. You know what? Actually, I'll send you still images.
Right. Exactly. So, she and I were talking, and then we also kind of were romanticizing about, when we got engaged, which was at Snowbird in Utah. And I had told her, if we really were going to move out of state, if we really were going to go to a completely different zip code and have to pick up and go across state lines, I really want to go to Utah. And it's not just because of the friends that we have there. Because, friends come and go. You're not going to be forever. Friends come and go.
I, in all honesty, though, I think that's smart of you. Like, no matter what, that's smart of you.
Which part?
The like we like Utah not for just because friends, but because like Utah as a whole, because friends can come and go.
Sure.
Do I have any intentions of going? Absolutely not. But like, you got to think, like, when you're thinking about like moving to another state or country or anything, yeah, you should kind of consider that like a kind of a harsh reality of like, if something, like, if the worst happens, like, are we going to be okay? Are we going to be like, well, we're here and no more friends, so why are we here? That's not a smart thing to do.
Right.
So I think it's smart of you to recognize that kind of stuff.
Well, that's the thing. Like, having you guys there, having majority of the Slicer crew there, it definitely helps, right? But the experience that I had there, even as somebody that is more left-leaning in my political point of views, I know Utah is a little bit more right-leaning, even though that I like to imbibe alcohol, and Utah has a lot of alcohol restrictions. Even though that Utah is a predominantly, Caucasian state, I have felt nothing but love from people when I went over there. Whether they knew that I was visiting or not, I just had a really great experience. And almost everybody else that I talked to that have migrated from California to Utah, and they are a person of color, they've all said that it's a great place. It does take a little bit getting used to, but it is a great place. And they also have Google Fiber in certain areas. I'm like, ooh, that's good. So, that's a thing.
So, again, I have to ask the burning question: job.
Oh, yeah. So that's the one thing I was, if you remember a couple of weeks back, I had asked you, where exactly in Utah do you go? How many Costco's do you not go to? Like, is there anything down south that you don't go to? That we might be able to figure out. And I was trying to think in my head, because for those of you who don't know, Quinnton and I literally had the exact same job in 2 different states and 2 different cities. So if I go to Utah, either that means our respective territories are going to be split up and I'm just going to take half of his old territory, or something else. So a couple of jobs have come up. There was a computer programming job that I saw in one company in close to Snowbird. I forget exactly where. But there was that job. There's also a job for Skull Candy for marketing. I was looking into. There's also a job with Ubisoft that looked to be a remote job that I could do just up at my house, which is digital marketing. And because of COVID and a lot of companies, particularly tech companies, a lot of them are now leaning more toward, hey, if you want to just stay home, you're totally fine to be able to do that as long as you continue to perform. So that job has been has been poked, so to speak. When I decided that I wanted to like really make this a thing to do, because I haven't told our boss yet. Our boss doesn't know. And so I wanted to first, tell the people that this would impact fiscally, which is you, and then kind of go out from there.
How is that gonna affect me financially?
Well, not necessarily financially, but like if me moving there does split up the territory, it's going to affect you financially from like a administrative aspect.
Okay.
Yeah. But
I'd be astounded if they allowed that.
I would be too. But I'm if that is not the case, luckily at least for me, they're kind of putting me into more of the digital marketing area, which will still allow you to, continue doing your thing out there. And then if I just lean more into the digital marketing, I can just lean into the digital marketing and kind of do a Brian thing, or one of the other guys on the training team.
There you go.
Yeah. So I do plan on telling our respective boss this week. So by the time that this podcast comes out, I would have already told my boss. I've told my ex-wife. I haven't told.
Yeah, what about Aurelia? Aurelia?
Australia?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Aren't you leaving your fiance like in California? You're just leaving her there, right?
Just leave her here. We're gonna have a remote marriage. Yeah, that's the hardest. She's the hardest one to talk to, and I know I'm just gonna have to talk to her. And part of me feels like it's not that it would be a spectacle to watch, but I feel like it would be something good for me to tell her in some sort of like live on Twitch possibly. So
but like, what's the game plan in terms of like, come to Utah and visit me, or I'll come visit you?
Kind of. Yeah. So seeing as she just changed schools, in fact, and that's where I dropped her off this morning. Today was her third day in-person schooling at her new school here in the city we live in. It would be best for her to stick here in town with her mother. And so she would come visit me over the summers, and then I would have her for like the major holidays every other year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now here's the thing. I didn't want to tell you, especially after our last conversation, because I don't want you thinking I am just I'm just gonna swoop in and gun for your particular position or anything. But
I don't even know how that would work. That'd be so bizarre.
But the
like, hey, we're getting rid of you because like, no,
right?
That'd be so weird. That would be so weird. I'd be like, is this real life? Like, does this happen to people?
But the other thing is, I don't yet want to tell. I mean, Chef, if you're watching this, hi, yay, fine, everyone knows. But if nobody knows yet,
anybody we know in the chat? Anybody we know on a personal level in the chat?
I don't believe so. I don't believe there's any Slicer crew in the chat right now. But this is it's something that I'm very, very excited about. I'm excited to actually move over there for a number of reasons. Also because you guys actually have seasons, which is it's kind of a pro and con. You know, I am thoroughly extremely frightened to drive in the snow again.
Well, here's what we do is when you get here, which will be like in a week.
What? In a week?
Stay with me, okay? You're gonna come here in a week, maybe just to visit, maybe just to like to look around or something. But you're gonna come out here, and we're gonna go trade in your car, and we'll both go get new cars.
Whoa!
I think this is smart. I think this is great. All right, let's move forward with this plan.
What is going on here? So I have to drive over there now?
You can fly too.
How would I trade in my car if I'm flying?
Fly the car.
Fly the car. I might as well buy an airplane. Have you ever looked up the prices of transporting a full-on, off vehicle?
I couldn't imagine that's cheap, especially since they even like the upper echelon of people who have money, when they transport vehicles, they do it in another vehicle, not a plane.
Yeah. A lot of them will put it on a trailer, not in a plane or a train. They'll put it in a train, but not in a plane.
What you could do is, over the course of the next like couple months, is disassemble your car and like bring all of the parts as carry-ons. Don't give me that look. It'd be amazing. You're just the seat next to you is the front bumper.
Excuse me, sir. What is that? This is my gas pedal.
No, wait.
And this is
the engine block.
Brake pedal.
You're just like, you've got this like mini crane with you, and you're just wheeling it along through the airport. People are like, "What the hell?" You're like, "Don't mind me. It's my engine block. I'm just getting my car to Utah."
For some reason, I have a fear that I would be stopped by TSA if that were to be the case.
Imagine being the TSA agent. Okay, you're just doing the regular check through. You're like looking at everyone's luggage, whatever, and then some dude rounds the corner with a freaking car engine, and just like, what?
What do you mean I can't bring it
do
on?
Do I need a special screening? It's just my carry-on.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I will buy a seat for it. Wait, what do you mean that doesn't work? What do you mean I can't buy a seat?
What do you mean you can't turn it on?
I had to buy a seat for my cello when I transported my cello.
Really?
Well, I didn't trust TSA to handle a very obvious instrument that has stickers on it that says fragile. Okay, so I bought on my trip to Italy with it. I bought a seat.
Okay,
and it was probably the most cumbersome, uncomfortable thing to have next to me, because although you do buy a seat, this is a cello in a cello case. It's a girthy thing. It's wide.
Right, so it's leaning over you.
It's leaning over me, and it's a little bit slightly taller than the headroom that I get. So it's kind of crouching this way. So I'm having to do this. Like, yes,
word.
I'll have a Coke, please. Thank you. No, it's fine.
And
the cello
my cello will have a Coke.
The cello would like the peanuts. Oh, you don't do peanuts. Okay, that's pretzels then. That's fine. Yeah. No, but
the cello would like some bourbon. Would you charge it to his account, not mine?
So one of the main reasons why I didn't bring this up earlier was because if I did bring it up, it would be real. And when a big life decision like this happens and you get overzealous and then something falls through and you don't necessarily look like a failure, but there's a part of me that says, oh, look, I didn't follow through with what I said I was going to do. So if you remember, if you remember the conversation, I think it was back in October, when our friends from Southern California and Texas came to visit you guys, and you guys were kind of friendly, poking at me. Oh, Tony, why don't you come? And I'm like, well, I can't because I'm saving up for a place. That was both true and not true at the time, and it was true because yes, we are saving up for a place, but we had at that point decided that we weren't going to move, so we were really just saving up for a place. We didn't really have an idea on where to go. And then when we decided, yes, that we would like to go to Utah, give Aurelia's son a fresh start. I think he definitely needs a fresh start. I think he would do very well with Max and Hadley. He would mesh with them very, very well, although he's a little younger than them. He turned 14 yesterday. So how old is Max and Hadley?
They'll be both turning 17 this year.
Okay, so they're only 3 years older than him, but they all very much have the same kind of mentality of a gamer.
Does does he do the let's go?
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes. Yes, he does.
Welcome to podcast. Let's go.
Oh God, don't,
I can't even do it like justice.
Don't ever do that again, please. But I think it would be good for him. But yeah, it just, that was the fear, that if I told you guys and everyone gets super excited and then it fell through, I'm like, oh, Tony, what happened to Utah? Oh, I don't know. Anyways, how about those Niners? Trying to change the topic.
Yeah. How at what point have you been looking? Like, do you know what city? Do you like?
We like the houses in surrounding Sugar House.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's around the $2,000 per month as a rental. And one of the stipulations also was that we were going to have to bring Aurelia's brother, who he himself he has some special needs. Which require him to be very close by to us. But with California and the way that all works is he was able to have his own place, his own apartment, and he has a job right now. And luckily, because they opened back up, he's back at the job. He hasn't been working for a couple of months, more than a couple, but he's back working. But if he were to move with us to Utah, unfortunately, Utah doesn't really have a lot of programs for individuals such as himself as a high-functioning
person.
I guess there's a better term that I'm struggling to figure out, but there's just not a lot of a person with a slow learning disability. But apparently, Louisiana does have some pretty good programs, and that's where his mother lives.
Okay.
So he plans to move to Louisiana with his mother. But there's a whole thing with that, which I won't get into, because where she lives is in this new development, brand new housing in the middle of nowhere almost, and he doesn't have a car. So there's that whole thing. But anyways, it looks as though he's not going to come with us to Utah. And he can't stay on his own in California, so he would have to move somewhere. But, yeah, my fear was telling you and then something not happening and being embarrassed that it didn't happen. But by telling you now, it's kind of forcing me to make it happen.
Wow. Look at you.
So, I'm probably going to tell the rest of Slicer at some point this week. So, act surprised.
What nobody's going to believe that. What other cities have you looked at other than just Sugar House?
I don't remember the names. I have a bunch of them bookmarked on Zillow and Redfin, I think.
RedTube.
Not RedTube.
Don't look that up, folks. Do not look that up.
Don't look that up. But yeah, I have a bunch of them bookmarked, and there were actually a lot of jobs in Aurelia's line of work where she could just like slide right in, so to speak, and be able to have a similar job to what she has now, but with a little bit more autonomy, a little bit more along the in the area in which she really wants to excel, which is like designing fashion and things of that nature. Because where she's at right now, she's hobbling it together, and I say hobbling with a lot of love. She's actually crafting the end piece for this company that designs a multitude of pet supplies, including those like jackets that horses wear. Have you seen those? Like,
cool.
The lining? Yeah. So she helps she doesn't design them, but she helps make them. And from this particular company. But it's a lot of, what's the word? Conveyor belt-esque kind of stuff. Like, you do that part and then move on. You do the exact same part and then move on. You do the exact same part and then you move on.
Well, that gives me a couple ideas, so we'll have to talk offline.
Okay. Definitely. So I'm excited. I'm thoroughly scared, but I know that we're not doing it alone. And yeah, the closer that this date looms, because we want to do it before August this year, the realer it's getting.
You know how to make it really real? Oh. Really, really real?
Oh, God. I mean,
you buy yourself a season pass.
And I'm never going to use it.
Yeah. Why? Why are you not?
Because I don't have skis.
Then go buy them.
I'm going to spend all my money in the move.
You spend yourself a good, like maybe $1,000, and you'd have everything.
Yeah, that right there is eating into my first month's deposit of the new place. Like, I can't.
Well, go donate some plasma or something. You got this.
I unfortunately am not allowed to donate any kind of blood or anything inside me because I was in England during the mad cow.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. You think you were in England, but you actually were just tripped out on LSD.
Oh, what?
But you were actually in America.
Oh, really?
But this was years ago, so it's out of your system.
Oh, okay. So if I somehow do get my blood infecting somebody else, it's not my fault?
It's not your fault.
Okay, good to know.
This episode is powered by Pod Decks. Pod Decks are unique interview questions and episode starting prompts in the palm of your hand. So whether you're a new podcaster or existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience and have more meaningful conversations, you're going to want to check out Pod Decks. Now, if you want to get 10% off your order right now, you can go to poddecks.com and type in coupon code. What's the code?
Still recording.
Yes, that's the code. Check out poddecks.com. Take your podcast to the next level.
As we try to do every single episode, we're going to pull some questions from the Pod Deck. This is from the What the Heck deck. If you've never heard of Pod Decks, they're a deck of cards that are icebreakers that allow you to open up and have a really great conversation. You can use them for podcasting, streaming, first dates even. So go to poddeck.com. If you use promo code STILLRECORDING, you'll get 10% off your first purchase. So, Quinnton.
Hold up the box. Hold up the box. Nah, you hold up the wrong box. So the box that I want him to hold up is green.
Okay,
and because he's on a green screen, it's just invisible. Yeah.
There we go.
It's great.
What's the longest you've ever waited in line for something, and what?
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. It was E3 2013. We got in line at, I want to say 1 a.m. and it didn't start until, I think 10. Something like that. We were the first people in line for hours, but it was not, we didn't mean to be there that early. It was like, we drove into town from, up like where you guys live, like that area. And like we
You drove in from Sacramento.
Yeah, that's it. Sacramento. We drove in from Sacramento, got in, went to like Denny's, got breakfast and stuff, and then we're like, it's 1 a.m. and we're here. What do we do? And we're like, let's go get in line. Why not?
Did you already have tickets, or that was the ticket line for the tickets?
That was the line for the Xbox media briefing.
So how did you get into the media briefing?
The expert zone thing.
Oh,
they used to do that.
They used to do that. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I wish I knew that back then. When Expert Zone
13,
had
14 and 15, I think we got, and then it stopped doing that. But it was really fun. But yeah, we were in line for somewhere in the realm of like 9 hours.
You meet some pretty cool people?
Not bad. We were like, I'd say a good half of that was just us in line because we got there so early.
When you say us, how many were you? Was it you and our respective friend that still lives up there, or were there more?
There were more. There was a couple people. I want to say, if I were to take a guess, it would have been 5, 6.
Did you have chairs? Or you just
sitting on the ground
and sat on the ground? How cold were you? Like, did you have the appropriate outerwear?
It was like the middle of summer, so it was like...
Yeah, but it's still 1 a.m. Like, it's, and you're by the ocean.
As someone who lives in Utah...
Oh, God.
It was very, very comfortable.
Oh, God. Okay. Yeah, I personally don't have a memory of... So how many hours is that? Like 8, 9 hours, would you say?
Somewhere around there, yeah. 8 or 9.
8 or 9 hours. For E3, the Xbox media briefing. I personally do not have an experience of waiting that long for anything at all. I think the longest that I waited for something was maybe 2 hours, and that was a ride at Disneyland.
Okay.
That was the Disneyland California. That was I think it was called Screamin' California.
Okay, the roller coaster.
Yeah, the roller coaster. For those of you who know it, it's the roller coaster. I think now it has a Toy Story theme, but it's the roller coaster that has that giant loop-de-loop inside the Mickey Mouse design. I'm sure you guys have seen it. If not, go check it out on YouTube. But yeah, this was years after it had opened, so it wasn't anything like, oh, you got to go check it out now so you can be one of the first. Now, this was years later, and still the line was just immense because we decided at the time of year that we went, which was my son's birthday, it was the summer. So, of course, everybody and their mother are there. So the line was bad. If I had to wait in line again for something like, I'd say once in a lifetime experience, it would be something akin to the new Star Wars land. Like something to have to do with that. I don't know exactly what, but I would be totally fine waiting in line to have some sort of light speed experience in Star Wars land. It even could be just going to the bridge of the Millennium Falcon, just sitting in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, taking a picture and then leaving. I would wait. I would wait in line for that.
Heck yeah.
No questions.
I can tell you as a side story, speaking around E3, the worst line I ever stood in terms of quality was for Call of Duty Ghosts.
Why was that the worst line?
Because we stood in line and waited to get into the booth or whatever, because they were doing private demos. We stood in line for 4.5 hours, and that's during E3, so that's a good majority of the day.
Yep.
We stood in line and then went inside, and they had a ton of VIPs, so we didn't even get to sit. We had to stand to the side, and there was no one playing the game. It was like a walkthrough demo thing. You don't actually even play the game. You just watched someone play it, and they didn't tell you that until you got in there and you notice, oh, hey, there's one screen and a bunch of lounge chairs. Oh, by the way, all these fancy people, they get the lounge chairs. You can stand on the side, kind of like a movie theater. You're just standing in the aisle.
Wow.
And you just watch for like 15 minutes.
That hurts.
And then you leave. I very much took like a couple of their swag items. Like, no, this is crap.
Yeah, no, I would definitely be very salty after that experience.
Oh yeah, to this day, I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like,
yeah, that reminds.
I about walked over to the dude and like ripped the controller out of his hands. Like, I'm at least shooting the gun.
Yeah, I know. I'm just gonna let one round off. No, that reminds me similar to my experience of waiting in line to check out Anthem before it actually came out. Because if you remember, Anthem was something extremely exciting in regards to its news, the footage, the gameplay, the trailer. Everybody was excited for Anthem. I was over the moon about Anthem. I could not wait. And at E3 2017, I believe, is when EA had their own kind of mini E3 called EA Play.
Yeah.
And they had a pavilion dedicated to Anthem. And by the looks of it, I thought there were going to be rows upon rows of playable demos. I'm like, you know what? It's a candid demo. It's fine. No big deal. After waiting in line for, I'd say about an hour and a half, we finally got in, and it was a theater. A makeshift theater. No. And this very nice young lady at the front who is playing the game. She was one of the was it BioWare who did it? I think, I don't know, but she was one of the developers of Anthem, and she was playing the game. There was another guy there. He was commentating on what she was doing, and if you guys are at all wondering, I wonder what she played. If you have ever seen the trailer, she essentially played the trailer. She did nothing different. In fact, I don't even know if she was actually playing or if she was just standing there and going, yeah, I'm playing, sure. Because it looked like the trailer. I was so heated. Like I looked to, I was with a group of like 10 people, and, we were allocated, a certain amount of time to be at EA Play, and then we were going to,
Oh, yeah, because you can't be there the whole day. It's like you get in, you have your 2 hours, then you get out.
Yeah. Well, also, EA Play at the time was close to downtown Los Angeles, and so, like, we had to, park our car in a parking garage, and we had to pay for the garage and all this other stuff. I was like, okay, so let's make it worth our while. Let's go here. And so a lot of us, including myself, wasted most of our time in line for Anthem. So all the other little booths that they had, if you could not see inside the booth, I would go to the end, and as people were leaving, I would ask them, hey, is there a playable demo in there, or is it just some guy talking?
That's smart. That's smart.
There were two other like areas that it was just some guy talking. One of them was regarding, I believe it was regarding Fallen Order, because they hadn't fully announced it, but they were kind of teasing about what Fallen Order would be. So they're kind of talking about that. And you could get a poster, but that's it. Like I'm not our respected friend that sells all of his E3 stuff on eBay. He would have loved it. Probably would have made a lot of money with the poster. But I don't have that kind of mindset, and I don't have that kind of time to waste for a poster. So I was like, you know what? Never mind. Great game, though.
I'm out.
Great game. Go download it.
What, Anthem?
No, Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. For some reason, yeah.
No.
Don't worry about it. Keep going.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Anthem's done.
Yeah. Bye-bye. That's really about it. And then there was also this ice cream place that I went to in France that had a really long line, but I think it was only like a half an hour.
Okay. All right. Next card.
All right. Una mas, one more card. Have you ever been bitten by or attacked by an animal? If so, what and why? Have you ever been bitten or attacked by an animal? If so, what and why?
I don't think so. I mean, I got attacked by a bee.
Okay.
And it stung me.
That's a form of attack,
died.
Sure. Yeah. What were you doing to the bee at all? Anything?
Oh, wait. Actually, no. Okay. We went shooting once, and I got attacked by not just one animal, but like a cloud of insects. And I couldn't tell you what the insects were, but they just like bit me all over my body. Like just covered in just like these tiny little welts and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And to the point where like I drove home and just like sat in the shower for like 45 minutes or until the water went cold. I just was like, I feel so like I don't want to feel right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
yeah. That was, I think that's the closest I can get if that counts. But yeah, that was nasty. I think that's one of the only times I've ever had like a minor panic attack. And like being able to like recognize, because I'm fairly good at that kind of stuff, of like I am actively having a panic attack. I am freaking out internally. I need to be done. Like yeah. I am at full sensory overload with all these bites and everything, and feeling them crawl around my skin and stuff. I'm like, I am done, and I'm probably freaking people out right now that listen.
Yeah,
but
just
wear bug spray. That's it. Wear bug spray and do it beforehand. But yeah, it was nasty.
Your cat never bit you by accident, like
he's bit me, but like I would nothing to like write home about. He's nibbled on my hand, and like he scratched me when we first got him, and he like got scared in the night and jumped across me, and I think we've already talked about that, but yeah, nothing to the level of like, wow, my cat bit me, look at this, I had to put a bandage on it because it's so bad.
Yeah, I've definitely had cats bite me, but it was like, oh, you're trying to be mean, right? But I've had cats claw me, and so I still have a scar right here from a cat that had clawed me I'd say like almost a decade ago. But yeah, no, like I don't personally have any kind of shark attack kinds of stories. Although I do have an endearing story about a dog that bit me, and it was because I had a sandwich. So I was on my lunch break at Radio Shack, and I was eating a sandwich. I had the sandwich in my hand. This is a bad example. I had a sandwich in my hand, and I slightly put my hand down in resting position. So it was, the sandwich was parallel to the ground, and there was a dog coming out of a store. Beautiful dog, probably was a very large looking dog, but still a baby. You know those dogs. Like, how are you only 2? It was probably one of those. And he came up to me and like, oh, hello. And then he just went chomp on my whole hand with the sandwich. But it wasn't malicious, and it wasn't it wasn't like attacking,
out for blood kind of thing.
It was just like, ooh, look, food. And like when he bit down, it didn't hurt. It was more of shock. Like,
oh yeah,
that's my lunch. And
that's my lunch. That's my hand. That's my lunch. That's my hand.
So I let go of the sandwich. Which, you know, if you ever get your hand stuck in a pickle jar, let go of the pickle, then you can probably get your hand out. But so I let go of the sandwich, and in which case he let go of my hand, and he had the sandwich. So he was a happy dog. And I went, oh no. And I looked at the owner, and my first thought, because this is in an area in which there are certain dog owners that are like, how dare you? My dog's not allowed to eat that, kind of thing, right? But he was very nice. He's like, oh, no, I'm so sorry. I'm like, yeah, no, it's not going to hurt your dog. It's only turkey. He's like, no, I'm not worried about that. Are you okay? I'm like, oh, he was worried about my well-being. And
good.
His words were, I come back to because he noticed that I had a work shirt on because I was working at Radio Shack in the adjacent building. So he said, I come back to this area. I live around here. I come back to this area fairly frequently. I will come back and bring you lunch one day.
Aw.
Yeah. And he never brought me lunch, but he did give me $5. He did give me $5 one time. I was like, oh, that's okay. That's sweet of you. Yeah.
Yeah. That works.
Definitely.
Well, fun
times being bit by animals. Fun time every time. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching and or listening to Still Recording Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Still Recording Podcast, or you can find us individually at certain places, such as Quinnton.
On Instagram and Xbox at Firewall.
You can find me those locations under Lazy Tech Tony. We also have a Discord. So here on YouTube, on the podcast, or here on Twitch, in the About section or in the description, go ahead and check out the Discord link. We'd love to have your discussions in there. And if you are watching this before April 3rd, just want to let you know, on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/LazyTechTony, that's also where we shoot this podcast live every other Monday. We are doing a charity raid train on April 3rd. We're trying to raise money for a young gentleman who needs some surgery for his deviated septum and for his jaw. We have raised enough money for his deviated septum surgery, which is $1,000. So thank you very much, everybody who's been able to donate. But the next step is getting his jaw surgery. We're talking to a doctor today to figure out how much that's going to cost. But if you're able to participate, if you're able to help in any form or fashion by sharing, letting people know, or just clicking the link in the description or in the chat here and donate directly, that is awesome. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in the next one. Later.
Bye, guys.
Heart.